Hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Saturday week 16 of the 2023 NFL season, a holiday special from the NFL featuring two games in the AFC, one between the Bengals and the Steelers, and the other with the Bills versus the Chargers. And with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with the Cincinnati Bengals, who suffered a loss here, and their playoff hopes they've taken a hit. The magic that Jake Browning first had basically disappeared in that game, and the playoff hopes for the Bengals may have gone with it. So Cincinnati came into Saturday's game on a 3-game winning streak, and it felt like Jake Browning had helped to make the Bengals, or helped keep the Bengals in contention, and to a large degree he had done exactly that, and many may have underestimated just how much he was covering up. Browning didn't get assistance from Joe Mixon, Chase Brown, and Cincinnati's ground game, not to mention a good collection of receivers, but he was constantly forced to offset an underwhelming defense. Let's not forget that Cincinnati needed overtime to beat the Jaguars and Vikings because of that defense. Coming into Week 16, the Bengals ranked 31st in yards per rush allowed, 31st in net yards per pass attempt allowed, 30th in yards allowed, and 20th in points allowed. But as long as Browning, who had 5 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions over his past 3 starts, kept rolling, though, the Bengals would be okay. Right? Wrong. Without Jamar Chase, Browning failed to keep his high level of play going. He did throw for 335 yards, but was sacked 3 times and threw 3 interceptions. His 2 first-half interceptions, including one in the end zone, led the Steelers touchdowns in a big deficit early. Would the Bengals have won Joe Burrow? Maybe, maybe not. Browning was unable to pull a win out of his hat in this one. While the Bengals have 2 games in which to try to rebounding at the Chiefs and versus the Browns, they are in trouble. Cincinnati now has an 0-5 record in the AFC North and a 3-7 record in the conference. That severely limits the Bengals' chances of getting into the playoffs via tiebreaker. Yeah, I talked about at the top how the playoff hopes have taken a hit, and this might have done it too. And this might be what undoes the Bengals here. They had a good 3-game run, but it was seemingly inevitable that without Joe Burrow, the magic of Jake Browning would eventually wear off, and the Bengals would get exposed for what they are, and that is a team that only goes as far as their franchise guy Joe Burrow takes them. Pittsburgh Steelers. So Mike Tomlin seemingly had lost control of the Steelers, but after this game, this was a nice statement win from the Steelers to remind everybody that Mike Tomlin has not lost control of the Steelers. And to further prove that point, they put up a season high of 34 points, and their veteran defenders stepped up big time for them. So over the past few weeks, it sure felt like the Steelers had lost their edge. They were physically pushed around by the Cardinals, started off slow against the Patriots, and faded quickly against the Colts. It was fair to wonder whether Mike Tomlin, who has been Pittsburgh's head coach since 2007, was still capable of keeping his team together. Such questions, though, did not come from inside the organization, and Saturday's game was a great example of why Pittsburgh still believes Tomlin can provide a winner. Turning to Mason Rudolph over Mitchell Trubisky helped spark the passing game, and Tomlin found some way to get George Pickens to refocus during the week. Fans can question why it took this long for Tomlin to turn to Rudolph, and whether he'll stick with Rudolph once Kenny Pickett is healthy. He won't. It was announced that Pickett will start next week, but they can't question his ability to get his team up for a pivotal divisional game of a playoff atmosphere. At 8-7, the Steelers are still long shots to make the postseason. With games against the Seahawks and Ravens left, though, they can't be written off just yet. Although it is quite curious to see what this offense looks like back with Kenny Pickett under center. Can they keep this momentum up, or will they stall out again? Even with this win, I still don't like the Steelers' odds of making the postseason, but I think they at the very least have a good chance of finishing with a winning record so they can keep Mike Tomlin's streak alive. But again, I don't really see the Steelers team, even with this win, as contenders. Buffalo Bills. So they got the win here, but they certainly struggled to get it, and the road struggles continue to remain a concern for this team. The Bengals loss made things simple for the Bills. If they win their final 3 games, they'll be guaranteed a spot in the postseason. Buffalo got the first win by beating the Chargers. However, it was more of a challenge than it should have been against a 5-win squad starting its backup quarterback. The defense struggled to contain Easton Stick, who continually found holes in Buffalo's injury-depleted secondary, while Josh Allen delivered a couple of big shots, including a 57-yard touchdown pass to Gabe Davis, and did plenty with his legs. He also had his fair share of struggles. Allen only had 6 incompletions and 1 interception, but his misfires often came at inopportune times. This, along with penalties and turnovers, made it hard for Buffalo to sustain drives. It worked on the Chargers as it did against the Cowboys last week. Cross-country trips are always difficult, but Saturday's road struggles are concerning because they're part of a trend. The Cowboys have drawn their own criticism for being a poor road team this season, but it's working when the Buffalo quietly came into this game with a 2-5 record away from Highmark Stadium, including a home game in London. Allen has only thrown 5 interceptions in 7 home games and 10 picks in 8 road contests. Yes, the Bills played a close game. Did I read that right? Yeah, 8. Yes, the Bills played a close game in Philadelphia and beat the Chiefs on the road recently. But Saturday's game was a step in the wrong direction, and that could potentially be problematic because after hosting the Patriots, Buffalo finishes against the Dolphins in Miami, and if the Bills get into the playoffs as a wildcard team, they'll again be trying to win on the road, something that they have struggled to do. So, is Buffalo a serious postseason team? If they do make it in, are they really that team that nobody wants to see? Maybe, maybe not. But after a performance like this, it's kind of hard to 100% believe in the Bills as a team that can make some noise in the postseason. Los Angeles Chargers. So give this team some credit. They showed improved effort in their first game since firing Brandon Staley. The Chargers, playing without Justin Herbert or Keenan Allen, gave Buffalo everything it can handle on Saturday night. Easton Stick made some terrific throws in the passing game, overriding a boost to the ground game with his legs. Austin Eckler had a terrific game, and the defense played one of its better games of the season. Los Angeles came into Week 16 ranked 30th in passing yards allowed, 29th in total yards allowed, and 28th in points allowed. Its defense managed to fluster the Bills for stretches while forcing 3 turnovers. To put it bluntly, LA looked and played like a more complete and driven team than we've seen most of the season. It certainly didn't look like the same squad that stumbled to a 63-21 loss against the Raiders in Brandon Staley's final game, and it's now difficult to believe that the players didn't decide to quit on Staley at some point this season. The Chargers' performance has no bearing on the playoff race since LA is eliminated with this loss, but it is potentially huge for heading into the offseason. Smith, formerly the outside linebackers coach, may not have a realistic shot at keeping the job with only a 3-game audition. Los Angeles will almost certainly conduct an open coaching search in the offseason. The presence of Herbert should already make the Chargers' job one of the more coveted of the 2024 cycle. Saturday's game could help add to its attractiveness because it showed that when the players are buying in, Herbert's supporting cast might not be as depthless as LA's 5-10 record would suggest. And with that, that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.